Guru Nation, welcome back to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. This is also going to go on YouTube, of course. It will go on Facebook, of course. I have not deleted Facebook yet. That was the hashtag going around, delete Facebook. And none of those people, Jay, wanted to delete Instagram. And they don't know that Facebook owns Instagram, so you can't just choose
Oh
what you
man.
want to delete, okay? Uh,
Right.
this will also go on Instagram, but they don't let you put the whole length of the video. So it'll be like a little highlight reel on Instagram. But anyways, I have a feeling this is going to be a classic. I'm interviewing
Look.
Jay Pitts, an
Yeah.
Oncology CRA. He's very gracious to have reach out. We've been texting. What's our backstory actually, Jay? And then like refresh my memory, and then we'll get into your career and all that good stuff.
Yeah. No, I had, been following or I've seen some videos from you from time to time. And I said, man, this is a good guy right here to link up with. I'm on the East Coast. I know you're on the West Coast doing your thing out there. On the East Coast, just kind of doing my thing, building the name for myself over here. So I said, I got to link up with him. So, you
Thank
know,
you, thank
the
you.
rest is
Where are
history.
you
Yeah.
located? Where are you located?
Atlanta based there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a lot of CRA Academy students from
Yeah.
Atlanta. You're gonna be an inspiration to all of them. Um,
Yeah.
we might get you on as like a guest lecturer too. We'll talk about that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So why don't you tell us your story? Who are you, and then how did you get started in research? I know you have like a pretty interesting story behind all of this.
Yeah, man. So I basically started when I graduated. I got into and as a pharmacy technician. That was my basis. I started as a pharmacy technician, did that for quite a while. Was going to school the whole time, and I'm a non-traditional student. So like it took me over 10 years to graduate with a
Okay.
bachelor's degree. So, but my point being is that during that period of time, I lost both of my grandmothers to cancer, which really attracted me to the inner workings of cancer, how it works, the physiology, and that just I began to just press with that. Got into researching that. In the school, I actually co-authored a couple of papers and whatnot while I was at school. And then left there as a pharmacy technician. And one of the jobs that I was working with over the summer, I actually worked three jobs over the summertime. That was crazy, man. That was
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. But one of the jobs I worked for a smaller company in Columbus, and they took me on as a pharmacy technician, compound mixing pharmacy technician when I graduated because of that research background and whatnot. And I just graduated from there, moved up to I've been a coordinator for this company, and then
Wow.
one of the CRAs came to my site, and she was like, "Dude, you're doing way too much, man. This is crazy. You're too talented for this. We need to get you out here." So that CRA got me into that straight into a pharmaceutical. It was great, man.
No kidding. Okay, so where did you go to school?
Columbus State
Okay.
University.
So you didn't move to. You're in Atlanta now, but you grew up in Atlanta or in Ohio?
Well, no. Columbus. There's a Columbus, Georgia, too,
Oh, okay.
and
Oh, wow.
it,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
So
interesting.
and I'm south of it. I'm still basically in Columbus. I'm just south of it. It's not far away from it.
Okay,
But
glad you cleared that up
I
because
keep
I
a
was like,
lot of
how
people
does
know
one
Columbus.
move to Ohio just and get a job? Like that's crazy, but that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, so your
So
CRA, you were coordinating at this place in Columbus, Georgia. The
yeah,
CRA, like what were some of the things you were doing as a coordinator?
everything. Coordinating is hard work.
Very hard work.
Yes, it is absolutely. I came in. We actually opened this site up. It's a John B. Amos. They had some smaller studies going on. A lot of it was co-op, and when I came on, we took over their co-op studies, and we added some sponsor-initiated studies. I ended up doing over 30 studies by myself. I had 17 enrolling, and I had like 15 in follow-up when I took over that site. It was ridiculous.
17? Wow. And then these were enrolling patients, like all of
Yeah.
them?
Well, it was over 30 total, but all 17 were active. I would say probably 12 or 13 had patients in them. It was ridiculous.
How did you manage? Because, like, if you're doing everything, like seeing the patients, scheduling the patients, doing the IP and all that stuff? Like, did you have any support staff there, or was it all just you doing everything?
For a good little while, it was me. We brought in somebody to do some data entry, and I would get with,
Wow.
yeah,
No
I would get
kidding.
with the lab, to help me draw labs and whatnot. So that kind of took away time. I took off time, but I mean, it was just a rough time. It was 12-hour days, and the night
Wow.
seemed to fly by.
That's crazy. I mean, I could relate when I started, but it wasn't nearly that many studies. It was like five, but
Yeah,
they were central nervous system disorders. So those are like one CNS study is like kind of like two family practice studies, I think, as far as complexity. But
yeah,
still, that's a lot, man, for you to be doing, and you're not owning the site. I mean, you're you're a
right,
coordinator, which is
right.
insane.
But I mean, I will tell you this though, man. It was the greatest, worst career developmental move ever because when I became a CRA, like it was cakewalk to me.
Hmm.
Uh, it grew me up so fast. I had to, being on so many different complex studies, there was so much terminology. There was so much regulatory items that you just had, and there was no excuse. So I didn't have a backup as a coordinator until I
So,
got the person.
so how
So
long were you coordinating at this site before the CRA approached you?
a little bit over a year. It wasn't
Okay.
long.
And was it
Yeah,
oncology studies that you were coordinating?
all oncology.
Wow, yeah, that's those are complex. I'm monitoring two oncology studies right now. So I've just started getting into oncology like a year and a half ago. So I'm like
Yeah,
no expert in oncology, but I've always wanted to do that. And
yeah.
one of them's through my own CRO. The other one's like a contract CRA. Those are tough. Those are really tough. Oncology is like a
Super
whole new
complex.
language.
Yeah, it's super complex. It's a lot of steps. It's a lot of terms. It's a lot of labs and procedures, and it's a lot of objectives, and a lot of the objectives can be the same, but I mean, each study is unique.
What
I mean,
makes
it's
because I have students all the time in my CRA academy. You know, they want to do oncology because they see dollar signs. So they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
oncology, that's like what I want to do." And I don't
yeah,
discourage them, but I always tell them, hey, that's like the hardest indication of all. That's why they pay the most. But I've never been able to articulate why, other than just a lot of paperwork, a lot of SAEs. But like, why for you is oncology? Do you think so difficult?
Well, I think about it this way, Dan. I think about it this way. Like, it's one of the only indications where, first of all, it's super varied. Each particular cancer line is unique, and still, we're still struggling to grasp it. So, with that being said, anything that we fully don't understand is going to forever be evolving, which is and which means that the language and the terminology is forever evolving, and the cohorts and everything that each person demands is forever evolving. So it's one of those things where it's just super complicated because we're just sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times we're shooting darks, and
Yeah.
in the dark,
Yep.
so
So
uh,
when something's that intimidating, like I break it down into bite-sized tasks. So what is your advice? Because in our CRA Academy, we actually don't teach specific indications. We teach monitoring principles, research
yeah,
principles. During the internship, now our students are lucky because they can intern on some of these oncology studies. But that
yeah.
wasn't always the case. This is very recent that they're able to do this. So if somebody wants to learn oncology, let's say they mastered or they have a good grasp of monitoring fundamentals. Okay, let's say they watched one of my videos, like that 5 hour video or something. Okay, so they have a good idea of monitoring. Okay, but
Yeah.
now to master oncology, what do you think is the most important thing they need to understand about oncology? Like, is it the breast cyst? Like, what, and then what specifically? Like, do you think they should focus on first?
I would say just having a firm foundation, science foundation. You mentioned resist and some of the other ones, and that stuff is good. The CTCAEs and all that. That's good. But what's important is understanding, at least having a solid grasp of how cancer works and how cancer affects various parts of the body and how it spreads. And that will take you a long way. That will take you a long way.
Yes, yes. I think the learning the language,
Absolutely.
sometimes they just assume that you know these things, and I've been fortunate to not have been impacted by cancer so far. Knock on wood. Like nobody that I know,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So I didn't even know what things like metastasize meant. Like I didn't know these things. Like I
Right.
heard it, but like
Right.
to explain it, I had to look it up. I had
Right.
to get that CTCAE quick reference
Yeah.
guide and just carry that around with me, like grade one TNM. I had to
Right.
learn, but then once you learn it, it's simple, right? Like
Right.
the size of the tumor, lymph nodes, did it metastasize? That's TNM. You got to know
Right.
those things. But I didn't know,
Right.
so it is very intimidating if you don't understand these
Yeah.
things. And then there's common medications, like and then there's pre-medications,
Right.
like what do you give them so that they don't have nausea before you administer chemo. And there's all these kind of things which you don't
Right.
get in other studies. Like in
Exactly.
psychiatry, what I've been doing, you don't have a pre-medication before you
Yeah.
give the IP. The IP is the medication. So
Yeah.
there's con meds, but there's no order of giving them out. So
Right.
it's like a whole new thing. It's very difficult to explain to somebody who has not experienced
Right.
oncology. So,
Right.
but you
And
got lucky because you were the coordinator.
yeah, yeah, that helped me out tremendously. I mean, it coordination really helped me. I was fortunate because I had, a good oncology background just because of, my degree in oncology. I mean, not oncology, biology, and my research in college. But for somebody that's just coming out and saying, "Hey, I want to make a career change" or something like that, I would strongly suggest, because you mentioned something, man, like the pre-meds. That's a whole category within itself, and it's so small. It's like a sub part. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You don't even think
Like
about that. Like, if you're an experienced oncology monitor, you're just like, oh, yeah, this is how it is. But to somebody
exactly,
brand new, and like you
right,
said, that's just a small, like, less than a percent of everything
exactly.
you got to worry about.
But then when you have like a good EDC system and you have to track if it's prophylactic medicine, and then you have to look at the medical history, you have to determine if this patient has something, or if a particular medication is considered will make the patient ineligible. That small thing becomes big. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Like, so it's small things like that that if you don't have that background, you probably wouldn't pay attention to, which could cause, big issues.
Or back to metastasize, right? For the TNM criteria. So if you put M0, but then you look at the papers and you see, well, no, the tumor spread to these other organs, and then you
Yeah,
question the coordinator, and the coordinator says, yeah, but that's part of their medical history. For the purposes of this study, it's M0 because it hasn't
right.
metastasized since. So how are you going
Yep,
to know these things if you don't even know
exactly.
what metastasize means, right? I had to learn this stuff the hard way.
Yep.
So
Good stuff, man.
that's just like 2% of what you've
Two.
got to deal with. So okay, so coordinator. So if somebody wants to become a CRA, you're saying, and I agree with you, the best route is the coordinator route. The best route for anything is starts at the site level, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
absolutely. For me, and I'm slightly biased, but I feel like best monitors were coordinators first. That's
Ah,
something that's true to me, because if not even for that knowledge, if you the knowledge and the regulatory and learning the systems, let's throw out all of that. People skills. You know what I mean? That's super important. Being able to speak with a physician because you work with them every single day and learning how to deal with their egos and all of that stuff. That's stuff that's like subliminal that we don't even talk about. But I mean, people skills are super important, and coordination and dealing with the doctor and the support staff and the phlebotomist and the data entry person and your project man, all this stuff. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of different people. That's going to help you a
yes.
lot down the road.
Yeah, highly recommend coordinator first. So this,
Yeah.
I'm curious, this site, because most cancer studies are done at um, academic institutions or teaching hospitals. It's very rare to have like a private site that does oncology. I'm
Yeah,
monitoring one now because they're a client of ours and I recommended them to get this study, so they got it. I
yeah.
think as a CRA, it's my preference to work with those kind of sites. What kind of site was the site that you were working at?
So the site that I worked at as a coordinator, they were prior to me. They were in other areas. They did a lot of smoking cessation and all a little cardiovascular and stuff like that. When I came on, because of my experience, I actually opened that site up.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, it was a badge of honor for me. And they threw me right in. It's like, oh no, we're gonna sink or swim with you, which was a compliment, but it's a heck of a compliment.
So
So
you opened up the entire oncology department basically at this site that you were at.
yes, yeah,
Wow. And
yeah,
and you said because of your experience, so what, like during your pharmacy tech days, you had oncology?
everything just like the perfect storm, man. It was a perfect storm. I did a lot of chemo drugs in doing my pharmacy, and I did that for about 15 years prior to even getting into the research aspect. But
Wow, no
between that
kidding.
and the undergrad degree and then the research that I did, and I had an awesome mentor in college.
15 years, you look like you're 25.
Keep saying that we're gonna be best friends.
I seriously thought you were like in your 20s. So I'm just doing the math. Like that's crazy because I've been doing this about 15 years and I
Yeah.
look like I'm 50 and you look like you're 25. That's
No,
crazy.
man, not at all. No,
Okay.
but yeah, it's been a great experience, and all of those kind of culminated to the product sitting here. You know what I mean? Like it's just been one step to another step. And you mentioned something I think earlier, but maybe offline. But it takes a lot of persistence, a lot of dedication, a lot of persistence, which is kind of why we linked up because I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah,
For
oh my
dedication.
God, the persistence. I don't know any other field. People always ask me, is it lucrative? I say yes. I have really no reference because I've dabbled in real estate. I have like some marketing stuff. So compared to those things, yeah, because it's stable, but I doubt it's the most lucrative industry you can be in. But people keep telling me it's like top five, top 10. Fortune magazine always has CRA as like top five. Every year, CRA, top five career you can have. So there must be something here, and I'm not
Oh
just biased because this is all I know.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I met colleagues of mine and people that I ran across the industry that's doing extremely well. And I'm not there yet, but they've paid their dues, and I think that's the underlying message is that one step to the next step, and just continue to pay your dues and stay persistent. You
Yeah.
know,
So how long have you been oncology CRA for now?
about five.
Wow. Okay. 5 years. So that's plenty of time to have pretty much seen most of what you're gonna encounter. Um,
Oh yeah.
have you been at the same place since you started?
I just recently transitioned to another company, but I was with that company for a little while, and it was great. It was really great.
Okay, you had a good experience.
Yeah, it was really great. It was the first company I came in. I came in as a CRA two because of that experience, and just I shattered the interview. And that's not me being prideful or
Wow,
anything,
no
but
kidding.
yeah. So they brought me in that way, and it's been great.
Was that a big CRO or a small, like a medium,
Medium, mid-size,
mid-sized?
and it was actually a mid-size pharmaceutical.
So
Yeah,
you
wasn't.
you you were no CRA before. You were came from coordinator to CRA two.
Yeah, to
That's
oncology CRA.
fantastic, man. That is fantastic. It's like
Yeah,
when I started, because I was a coordinator, then I owned the sites, so I put like site director. And then as I
yeah,
was building my CRO, I wanted to actually get actual CRA experience. So then
yeah,
on my CV, I put I'm the in-house monitor for the sites that I direct. I do QA. My first
yeah.
contract role was a senior CRA. So they were like expecting me to know, everything. Like they were learning from me.
Yeah,
Luckily, I had like 12 years experience, so I knew what I was doing. But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
senior CRA two for you. This industry
Yeah,
works in crazy ways.
it
Um,
does.
do you? So what's your? Are you a W-2 or are you a contractor? What is your situation?
I'm still W-2. I'm slowly transitioning to contracting.
You want
Um,
to?
yeah, yeah, that's something. I mean, I want to be as autonomous as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can be most impactful that way. So that's the long term goal. But I'm at a good company right now. I'm at a
Yeah.
really yeah
That's good to hear. That's rare. That's rare
yeah
that you are at a good because some of these big CROs. I know you're like at a mid-sized CRO now. I don't even know which one you're at, but you're at one of
yeah.
the mid-sized. You're not at one of the big ones. I mean, I hear like I've seen monitors crying as a
Oh
site.
yeah
Like my monitors come, they're like crying. You know, they don't have a
yeah
life. They're expected to do all these things. They're not
yeah
getting paid more. Like it's just
yeah.
crazy how these big CROs operate. Not all. Like
Right
some of the, I hear good things about Covance, but the other
right.
ones, you know, so it's like you're in a good situation, I think. But so I was trying to figure out what is your long-term goal, and
Yeah
contract CRA it is.
yeah. Definitely.
What
I'm looking
what?
up to you, Dan.
Uh, hey man, don't own a CRO because that's hard stuff, man. Uh,
I heard
uh,
that.
Much more profitable to own the sites and actually easier as well. But the reason I'm doing the CRO is I want equity in some of these drug companies. So
Yeah
they're not going to give that to me unless I have the infrastructure. But the CROs, profit margins are nowhere near what a site. You know, I used to think the opposite too. When I first started my
right.
site, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to be a CRO." Then I saw the first budget I did. I was like, "Is this it? Like, what? This is what we're competing with two other CROs. Everybody's underbidding."
Yeah
Because when you're a CRO and there's a study, it's not like when you're a site, they need 100 sites. When you're a
right.
CRO, they need one CRO.
One.
And if you piss them off, they don't need any. The sponsor will
Yeah
do it themselves. So you're like constantly undercutting. You have to become like the Walmart of CROs just to get a bid. Or you're like a Quintiles
yeah
or whatever they're called now, where they just like bid at scale, right? And
yeah
then they make
yeah
all their money on all the EDC stuff and the analytics and all those things that they sell. But the days on site for the CRAs, I mean, they're barely making any money off of you. So they want you on site as often as possible
yeah
when you're working for one of these big CROs.
yeah.
So Atlanta job market. I'm asking for our students now. We have a lot, and you got to be a mentor. I'm going to get you on to do guest lectures. We got to talk about that. If you're up for it,
Oh,
that would be
yeah
amazing.
yeah.
Um, what do you think about Atlanta job market? In my opinion, it's like the hardest one, or one of the hardest.
It is hot though. I will say that it is hard in some aspects, but it's growing, it's developing, and it's not far from some of the hot spots. And one of the hot spots is that Triangle in North Carolina. So a lot of action happens there. You know, a lot of action happens Northeast too. But Atlanta in itself is growing as a unique market. So I mean, I would say don't to the Atlanta students, don't be discouraged at all. Atlanta's growing. We have quite a bit of pharmaceutical companies in that area, and we're not far away from the Triangle.
Okay, that's good news. That's good
Yeah,
news to hear because for some reason, Atlanta, there's like so much interest from
yeah,
people that want to be CRAs. More, way by far, more than any other state, city. It's crazy. I don't know why. I haven't figured out why, but we've been doing our academy now for 4 years.
yeah.
60% of our students come from Atlanta, which is unbelievable.
Wow.
And then the rest is just scattered everywhere else, right? Like
Yeah, wow.
Texas, California, New York, Baltimore, but Atlanta's like 60. It's an unbelievable how people find out about being a CRA in Atlanta because there's not that many sites. It's not like
Yeah,
that much different than Houston or Chicago. I mean, there's nothing unusual about the infrastructure there in Atlanta, so I don't understand it.
yeah. I think it's growing. The one thing I don't like about Atlanta so much is the traffic, but neither here nor there. But I
Yeah,
will say this is that it's growing, man. It's growing exponentially, it seems. There are a lot of they're deeming it the new Hollywood, East Coast Hollywood or whatever.
it
So it's a
is.
lot
Yeah.
of yes, it's bringing a lot of traction our way. So I would tell them not to be discouraged and keep your job options open. And you see an opportunity, you go in with it with both feet.
Yeah, you're getting all the California transplants moving to everywhere. People are leaving
Yeah.
California. Taxes are so high. I can't wait till the market crashes. I'm gonna buy some real
And
estate.
everything is high in California.
It's unbelievable. And Art, don't talk about traffic with me. I got to go to LA tomorrow. It's a 20-mile drive. 20 miles could
Yeah,
take 2 or 3
yeah,
hours one way. One way. Yeah, it's horrible, man. Um, but the job market here is actually very good. There's
yeah.
a shortage of researchers in California,
Hmm.
and I've noticed that in the East Coast there's a healthier supply. So
Yeah,
I always tell students, if you're on the West Coast, like you're good, you're at an advantage compared to
yeah,
Atlanta. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm seeing like in the job
yeah.
market.
Well, as long as they don't mind traveling either, man. I mean, you can be pretty much anywhere.
Hmm.
Like that's the one thing about our industry. If you can have a company, both the companies that I've worked for as a CRA are based out of California.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm the East Coast, Southeast, as a matter of fact, region CRA, and it's
Wow.
been good for me. I've had zero issues with communication, with getting information or whatever. It's been good. So as long as you
Interesting.
don't mind traveling, yeah, it's not a big thing.
So are you more or less regionally based now? Like, is it rare for you to fly out to California?
This is a good question. So, with the first company that brought me on, I was hired on as a regional based CRA, man, but I was everywhere. You talk about California. I spent quite a bit of time in California. I
That's
had
false
sites in,
advertising. Regional.
exactly. I had sites in Billings, Montana, Yuma, Arizona. I mean,
Oh,
I was there.
Yuma! Shout out to Yuma. My in-laws
Yes,
are there.
nice, but I
Hmm.
was everywhere, man.
That's a hard airport to get into. I just drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, if you want to share a bit about your work-life balance, because people want to know. Like, we get it. The career is great. Do you have a family? Like, and then how often are you gone? How does that work?
So this is all dependent, completely contingent on the company you work for. I do have a family. I have a wife and two boys.
Okay.
And the reason I left my first company was because of that reason.
Hmm.
We lost a lot of people, and the workload just became unbearable. You brought in, and everybody knows about the 60 to 70% travel, which is pretty standard across the board. But we started getting around to 85, 90%. I was home. Yeah, it was ridiculous. In June, one year, I was home literally 4 days out of the entire month.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's including weekends. So, but it
Wow.
was, yeah. But I mean, we had data logs and all of this stuff. But I spent most of my time either at an airport or on site somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, with a good company that stresses that's a part of their mission and values, and which I have now, you appreciate it. And there's some good companies out there. There's some
Yep.
really good companies
There are
out
some good ones, even like the big, like Covance. I mean, I think they're smart. Like, I think the other ones don't really care because they understand that people are going to leave anyways. They're not going to pay
there.
as
Right.
much as these guys, so they're just going to try to maximize their ROI on you when you're new. That's
Exactly.
the price you pay to get in.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think I got lucky with being in Southern California. Most of my sites are just driving distance, or ironically, I live in Anaheim, which is 20 miles from LA. Okay, I can be in San Francisco quicker than I can be in LA flying. It's only an hour flight. Okay,
Wow.
LA might take me 3 hours, 2 hours to get there. If I leave with no traffic, it's like an hour. But usually there's traffic, so like
Right.
travel, you're gonna have it even if it's driving distance. If it's flying, like they're gonna have you on site a lot when you're starting out.
Right. Right. And you can do it, go there, and you prove yourself. You prove yourself. And one thing that I've seen from several CRAs, especially new CRAs, is this bouncing around thing after a few months.
Yes,
You definitely don't want to be one of those people because
you
the
don't.
CRA industry is really small, and people talk. And I've been on site where I've seen somebody at some type of convention, and I've been on site with them, and hey, didn't I see you at such and such, or I start a new job and somebody I ran across, just randomly is the HR director or something like that. It's the industry's really small. And so you definitely want to be, consistent and stable. As tough as a company may seem, if you get this new job, if you get an opportunity, cherish that opportunity as a new CRA, because it's really hard to break into the industry as a new CRA. And if you get that opportunity, maximize it for sure.
Wow. So don't jump around a lot. That's a good advice.
Yeah,
Okay, good. The good news is once you put in your 2 years of a CRA, you can name your job, especially
absolutely.
oncology, anywhere.
This is literally one of the best industries because, like you said, man, after 2 years, you're the one that's in demand now,
That's
and
right.
the ball goes to the other side of the court. So you start, naming prices and saying, this is what I want and stuff like that. But you have to pay your dues.
And that's when they start
And
treating you better too. Like that's when you
absolutely.
can go to them and say, "Hey, I'm supposed to be 60% travel. Why am I at 80?" And then like
Right,
when you're starting out, they're like, "Okay, yeah, well, this is what it is." But when
right.
they want to keep you because now they've put in time and resources into you, so they want to keep you obviously if they're smart.
Absolutely.
If they're smart.
Yep.
Some don't care.
Yeah.
So what's a typical day like for you? For like a I know they're all different, but like what like let's say you go on site, right? Do you travel? Do you fly out the same day as your visit or do you fly out the
No,
night before? What do you do?
I'm a night before type of guy, which is kind of tough on the family sometimes. But the trade off is that I really, really, really value my sites and I value my time on site. I'm not trying to be there all day and I'm trying to value those relationships as well. So I typically fly out the day before when I'm on a plane. I'm kind of reviewing keynotes that I made about the site.
Oh, you
Uh,
do.
yeah,
So you
absolutely.
work on the plane.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if it's been a rough week like that June month I told you about, no, I'm not working on the plane at all, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm relaxing. But no, man, I try to prepare myself as much as possible. I try to it's to me it's a matter of respect. It's a matter of building your own brand. When you come to that site, you want the site to say, man, that J guy, boy, that's a good CRA right there. It's a good monitor. Because
Yeah.
the industry's small and the news gets back. It does get back to your company.
Yeah, I could tell and it makes sense because you come from a coordinator background. Those
Right,
CRAs tend to be more empathetic with their sites than
right,
someone who was an RN that became a
right,
CRA because I've seen those too. And
right.
we've had some monitors from hell. Thankfully, it's not that many. Like it's very
Yeah,
rare
yeah,
nowadays, but they're out there and they're just looking. How can I get this site in trouble? What did they do wrong? Like you just can't
exactly.
stand those CRAs.
I mean, if you got queries in the EDC system that's been there for 6, 7 months, like, come on now. It can't just be the site, like, come on
Right,
now.
right.
So you start playing this game, and they put the address the query the wrong way, and they just send it back to them, and they just
Yeah.
playing this patty cake. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
gotta be empathetic CRA. Actually, it could backfire if you're not. I know a PI, and I know the CRA because, like you said, it's a small industry. She used to be my CRA too,
yeah.
and she gave us problems. The PI stopped enrolling on the study, told the sponsor we're not enrolling because of her, and
Wow.
now she just repeated the same thing. She probably repeated it a bunch of times I didn't know about, but now, no surprise, same exact thing. Threatened or accused the coordinator of fraud. Coordinator
Wow.
started crying. PI got involved. PI called the sponsor, said no more enrollment. I don't care if you change the monitor. We're done. So
Wow.
now they're losing money, right? The
Yeah,
sponsor's losing money because of the
that's money.
CRA.
Oh
But
man.
she's California based, and she's senior, so she'll get another job like in 2 weeks. But yeah, you got to be careful. Like your sites are your ally. You need actually
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit, or like your rapport with the coordinator is more
yeah.
important than people talk about. Even me, like I don't talk about it enough.
Absolutely. It makes or breaks your job. I mean, if you want to have a good experience as a monitor with all the traveling, have good rapport with your sites, have a good working relationship with your sites. Who wants to go anywhere when I have to look in somebody's face that I don't care about? Or it's vice versa. We have to sit here for 3, 4 hours, or the minute I begin to talk to them, they're automatically being hostile. Nobody wants that. You have to assume that the sites don't know. I always approach it from that standpoint, and sometimes you have to hold their hand.
Mm.
And that goes a long way with a lot of sites. A lot of sites they have good staff and they're not, dumb people. I don't know if I can say that, but they're really not. So, if they're not doing something, a lot of times it's because they don't know how to do it. They just don't know how to express. I don't know how to do this, especially when it comes to these systems that, we are poorly trained on a lot of times too, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, you have to sit there and just hold their hand and walk them through it. And that goes a long way, a
Hmm.
long way. Yeah.
Are you part of SOCRO or ACRP or any of that stuff?
Uh, Not yet. I need to be,
Okay.
but not yet. Yeah,
Okay. Do you think there's a value there?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that I'm a little bit, my answer's probably a little different. There's a value because we make it valuable. What I mean by we is the entire, because the certification by company standards is valuable.
Okay.
So because of that, there's a value there. The certification doesn't necessarily make you a better monitor than somebody
Right.
else.
Right.
I've seen both. But because, certain jobs will give you a pay increase or a bump or a raise because you have that certification is valuable.
Hmm. You seem to be unlike most CRAs. You're very outgoing. You're personable. Not to say that most are like mean or unfriendly, but most just
Yeah.
kind of keep to themselves. Don't talk much. You seem to be outgoing, charismatic. So, do you network a lot? Like, do you value
Oh, yeah.
that?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. It's one of the biggest perks of being a monitor, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you never know who you're going to meet. You never know, what they're working on. Take our interaction, for example. You never know who you're going to run across. And, I met a guy on site that actually tipped me off on this company,
Mm.
so with the company I'm at. And my company preaches a work-life balance. And, there are a few companies that really, really preach it. Like, no, it's a part of our daily living. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's important to network. It's if you gotta be out, if you gotta travel, maximize it for
Mm.
sure.
I like that. Get the ROI. You might as well do it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I think people forget how important it is to consider networking. Like I always tell students, if you want more results in clinical research, you talk to more people about clinical research. Like
Right.
if you were doing real estate, you talk to more people about real estate. It's the same thing. Just
Exactly.
have these conversations. You don't expect anything. Just talk.
Yeah.
See what happens. Then you start hearing things. Okay, this person needs that. These guys are doing this. These guys have a project coming up. They might need like a contractor, and boom,
Right.
that's how it goes. So very
Right.
interesting. Very glad you came on to share your story.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
what's your process when you go to a site? Let's go one more question. Uh, so you go to a site for just a
Mhm.
regular IMV.
Yeah.
Do you have an order? Like, do you just follow the report in order, or how do you structure your day for an IMV?
I typically have an order. I typically have a plan. I'm sure you know this as well, but each site is different,
Mm,
and the pharmacist might be available, not might not be available at the time that I want her to be available, and according to my order or something
mm,
of that sort. So things change, and especially in oncology, things vary all the time.
mm-hmm.
The support staff or things just change. I'll just say that. But yeah, typically when I get there, I want to review my regulatory. I want to get that out of the way. Look at all of those documents because regulatory is, and you have so many different. You have regulatory, you have your IP, and then you have your system, and then when talking about your system, that's the EDC/EMR, that whole source data verification process. So for me, getting regulatory out of the way ensures that I leave the site with the necessary documents.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm on the plane or when I'm in the hotel, at some point in time prior to going to the site, I'm going to review what do I need to grab before I leave this site, and I'm going to make sure after I sign in, that's one of the first things that I do.
Yeah,
Super important for me. Then
super
I go on
important.
to yeah, yeah, because the worst thing is getting home and realizing, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've done that.
I think we all have, man.
I've done
Which
that,
is
and this is why you want that good rapport with the coordinator.
right,
Because if you're
exactly.
nice to them, they're gonna help you out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And if you're not, they won't respond to that email, you
They
know?
won't, and they know that you're in trouble, and they're gonna love that.
Exactly.
They're gonna love that. That's how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
Uh, the reports, the report writing.
Yeah.
It's it's what we deliver to the sponsor. If there's any reason for us going, it's to have that deliverable.
Right.
Uh, a lot of people may have heard what we just discussed and think, okay, this is great, I can do it. And then they don't realize they have all this paperwork. They have a report you need to write. It's not just you have to do what he said,
Right.
right? What Jay said. You got to actually put all this down. Then you have revisions back and forth, comments, queries. Then the sponsor finalizes it. While that's all done, you're already doing maybe 2 or 3 more monitoring visits.
Exactly. 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 And you have to stay flexible. You have to stay flexible and you have to know. And here's the other thing. Like each either trial manager or leader, whoever reviews your reports, everybody's different. Everybody has a different flavor. Everybody has a different expectation. Each sponsor is different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a way that you've written your report before may fly, you know, with sponsor A, but with sponsor B, they're like, nah,
Right.
we're not taking that. This is crap, you know. So you know, and so doing that and then switching sides of the brain to, oh, I got this next 2 day visit that I have to go for such and such, or this person here is leaving the company and I have to do a site transition and take over their sites that I've never seen before. You know, when they have 16 patients, you know, it becomes trying at times, man.
Yes. Yes.
But those reports, they're so vital because the reports are an extension of who you are without the sponsor ever laying eyes on you.
Right.
So
That's like that's how they know you by is those
that's
reports.
exactly.
How many sites? How many studies are you doing right now for the where you're currently at?
Sure. 3 studies right now.
And then how many sites?
It's not, I'm at 9 sites now. So
Okay.
it's a lot more manageable.
Yeah. That sounds pretty good. 9
Yeah.
sites total, right? Amongst those
Right.
3 studies.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. Any advice for somebody trying to break in I don't know, Atlanta?
Let me make it general if you don't mind, but
Yeah.
I'll touch on Atlanta. Network, network. If I've learned to be more outgoing, I'm naturally introverted, and I've
Really?
learned to be more out. Yeah,
It fooled
believe it or
me.
not. Yeah, but I've learned to be that way because you know there's an old saying, "Closed mouths don't get fed." You know,
Yes.
so you have to get out there. You have to make a name for yourself. You have to, you know, meet people because you never know who you're going to run into. The CRA industry is really tricky because most CRA roles, almost all of them, require that you have experience. But how do you get experience if you don't have it? You know,
That's
it's
right.
one of those catch 22 things. So networking is that way. I was fortunate. My monitor, when I was a coordinator, saw my work, loved my work, and really vouched for me. You know, that was my way in. But everybody's path is different. Everybody's road is going to be different. But I would say the common theme in all of it is opening your mouth and really talking to people.
That's right.
Extending your,
That's right. It's funny that you said you're naturally introvert. I am too. I had to train myself to. Everyone thinks I'm outgoing, like, and I am when I'm out in conferences and stuff. But
right, right.
I want to default to just being quiet, like being by
Yep.
myself.
Same
So
here.
you have to get out there. You got to network. CRA Academy, we offer the internship. If you pass the class, you can do the internship. You add that to your CV. You're doing real stuff. If you can't afford the CRA Academy, you can go volunteer at sites. You can learn how to recruit patients. You can learn how to recruit doctors. Learn how to do social media. Whatever your skills are,
Right,
offer that for free to get a start, like to get some
right,
kind of experience. So you can add something to your CV. I think
right.
that's the key, and you can't get that by being shy or by keeping quiet. Or my favorite, everybody says, "Well, I'm just gonna email my CV," and I say,
Oh,
"Why? You can go walk to the clinic, like it's literally in your backyard. You go
yes.
hand it to the person there. Yeah, they
Right.
might just take it at the receptionist, but you do that like 10 times a day to different sites, you're going to get a meeting.
Yep.
You're going to get a
Yep.
meeting with somebody there, right?
Yep.
So just do things other people don't want to do
Right.
if you want different results.
That's right. That's
Jay,
good stuff.
you're going to get a
Yeah.
bunch of people reaching out. Well, like, how do they contact you?
I'm on LinkedIn. Just pull up Jay Pitts. You'll see me. I'm an Atlanta-based CRA. Got a little goofy smile on my face on my LinkedIn
Let me
profile. So,
see. I'm gonna go to your LinkedIn now. I will put it on the link will be below the video and in the show notes as well. So Jay Pitts on LinkedIn. Okay.
yeah, connect with me and let me know. When you connect, let me know that you saw the show. I love to help whoever I can help. It's a great job. It's a great opportunity, great career, not just a job. But I mean, it does take a little work.
I see. Yes, Jay Pitts right here.
You got me.
Yes. All right. So reach out to Jay Pitts. If you don't have a LinkedIn, get one. Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
vital. Get one.
you have to get one and
Take the
start
cake.
networking with people. Talk about networking. You don't even have to leave your house. I know I
Yep.
just said you should go walk to the sites. If you're stubborn, don't want to do it, go on LinkedIn and do it.
Yep.
Very good, Jay. I appreciate it, man. We got to
Yep.
do more of these later on.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how your career grows. And
Yep.
anything about like wanting to open sites, has that crossed your mind?
Yeah, man.
A lot of CRAs are doing that.
I know. I heard about this. It's a growing trend. I would definitely have to get with you more about that so you can teach me your wise one.
Yeah, definitely not trying to sell you. I think it's
Yeah.
actually most CRAs should not, but there are some that actually can do well, and there
Yeah.
are others that want to try, and who am I to stop them?
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's difficult, man, and you're putting your own money on the line. It's not like working for someone else, and like hard that way. It's a
Yeah.
different kind of hard. And
Gotcha.
yeah, it's a whole bunch of like that's another topic. But I was just curious about you. Um, okay, interesting. So contractor is the goal, and then
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows? And that's the beautiful thing about research. Who knows? Like there's so many different opportunities. There,
Exactly.
I know CRAs that created EDC companies. I know CRAs that did eSource. Like
That's
they just
awesome.
start vendors. So
Yeah.
anything, just get started. Jay is an inspiration for all
Yeah.
of us. And reach out to him on LinkedIn, and we'll be in touch. Anything else, Jay? Anything else?
I enjoyed it, man. Let's do this again.
Let's do it again. I want to follow your career now, and hopefully we meet in person one day. We're still thinking of doing an Atlanta meetup sometime.
Yeah. We
Uh,
got to.
we're gonna have to do something with
Got to.
Jay. Jay will be like the keynote speaker. We'll have to make sure that you're not traveling that day that we do it.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all later. Bye bye.